Hey everyone, I thought it'd be kind of an opportunity to take some time to discuss sort of why I'm still a pretty firm believer in 90% constitutional US silver over the long haul. Now, we watched precious metals really go to newer highs and higher highs over January of 2026. And I think everybody's aware of that story and kind of like how it played out over the next month, where we had a pretty large drop in price. And constitutional silver, I mean, there's something special about it, to be quite frank. When I hold, a 999 pure bar or round, yes, they're beautiful, they're nice, they're shiny, but I guess in a way, it makes me feel like there's no real character to that piece. That at the end of the day, it's just something that can be melted down and reshaped into the next commemorative coin, or in reshaped, or not commemorative coin, but reshaped into the next round, or reshaped into the next limited edition offering, or the next, mint can turn it into whatever. Like it doesn't. It just feels like it's I don't know. There's no history. There's no character. I kind of look at it like I could go buy a brand new vehicle that there's millions and millions and millions of them produced, or I can go buy like a 1969, Mustang. Right? There's a lot more character and history and sexiness for me on that older, big V8 type vehicle. I don't know how to explain it. And maybe if you're a constitutional, collector or constitutional stacker, you kind of get where I'm coming at with this. But just holding these coins and knowing that these coins were circulated, these coins were made of real money at a time in history when real money mattered to the country, and these were passed from hand to hand and used in transactions for 100 years or more, even in the US's history. And I just find something about that extremely appealing. If you don't know, I've also kind of gone on this journey of numismatics, which right now I don't have any of my raw coins out. I have my graded coins, but like a 1921S VF25, this coin right here, extremely special to me. I love this coin, and I'm grateful to have it. And this was not a cheap coin, And then some of these are just simple, easy to find MS65s, but they're absolutely stunning examples of that coin, of that date and mintage. And I'm very proud of building this small collection. Whereas I can't literally say that about generic silver. Even honestly, even like Britannias, Maple Leaves, American Silver Eagles, they just don't hit like just circulated constitutional silver hits. Now, a lot of people really talked down on constitutional silver when the prices of silver were going really, really high, because people were obviously trying to sell into that price momentum. And I completely understand. I'm not disparaging anybody who needed to sell, who was trying to get some money. And I think a lot of coin shops and stuff, they declined to purchase, or they offered at such a very low percentage back of spot that it offended long-term collectors and long-term investors, and it made people feel like constitutional was a bad buy. And at that time, I could understand that sentiment. I really could, but I just disagree with it. I feel like long term, this stuff has just as much potential to come back and have a high premium again. Once, things turn in the future and the refiners get caught up on all this, pure silver that they're constantly melting down. Once the COMEX market and volume slows down and things come back to normal, and they start wanting or needing even additional silver supply, well, then they're going to want constitution. They'll start accepting constitutional, which means that baseline value will come back up. But more so than that, like, I'm not wanting this stuff to be melted. I think this is a great piece of history. It's kind of like holding a historic document to me. There's something special about finding these coins or purchasing these coins and finding cool dates and finding key dates where there's very low mintages and just learning the actual history. They really are almost like historical documents of the United States, and in some weird little way. Each coin in each year and where it was minted has a story. Whether you know the story or not, or whether you care to know the story or not, that's your own personal thing. But for me, like just researching these things, I have about 8 books on just the Walking Liberty $half series, because that's the number one thing that I collect. That's the number one thing that I stack now. I've actually been selling off my generic silver to cycle into these graded coins and the raw coins of the Walking Liberty $half series, because this is my favorite design. I've learned all about the history of these coins. I've learned all about everything. I mean, I really appreciate the artistry and just what they are. That, again, they have this luster and appeal to me that generic silver just doesn't have. And I understand people that want to just get max bang for their buck, but you can buy constitutional silver under spot right now. And if you're buying it under spot and in the future you're getting offered above spot, well, that you make out. If in the future you're getting offered under spot again, well, you kind of just break even. It's like not that big of a deal to me. But also, if you're just looking at this from a value perspective, go online right now. Go on to auction houses. Go on to eBay. Look up graded Walking Liberty $half in the MS65, MS66, MS67. Look up some of the rare key dates like the 1921, 1921S, 1921D. Look what those coins are selling for today. You know, an MS65 of a standard date Walking Liberty $half is selling today from anywhere between $100 and probably $170, depending on exactly which date mintage you got. That's well above spot. That's well above the premium. You know, these things are still being sought after. They're still being collected. They're still being, they're still precious to some people out there. A lot of people out there, millions of people out there. So a lot of the narratives, and I think a lot of the negativity that was kind of cast down on constitutional silver, I think was unjustified because of a small moment of time where things were so chaotic that in all realities, all silver was kind of getting hurt at the same time. You know, people weren't taking 5-ounce bars some places. Some places weren't taking 1.5-ounce rounds. You know, they just wanted like legitimately 1 ounce and 10-ounce bars and rounds. You know, that doesn't mean that all the other stuff is bad or all the other stuff was a bad investment. No, it's all silver at the end of the day. 90% of this coin is silver, right? 90% of it's silver. So in a world where we all seem to believe this narrative that, the silver is always running a deficit of, industrial demand versus the supply year over year over year. Well, if we still honestly believe that, then all silver has a place in the future, whether it's scrap, 40%, ancient coins and stuff like that has even lower than that, or it's, whatever, 90%, 92%, 92.5, it doesn't matter. It all has a purpose in the future if y'all believe this narrative that silver is going to have a drastic shortage in the future as we keep going to this technological electronic age. And again, back to my main point though, and I'm going to do an entire video series on constitutional silver, so I hope you guys buckle up and enjoy my conversations about this, but I truly think that this is my calling as a stacker. I want to stack constitutional silver. And once I get fed up with the Walking Liberty series and maybe I've got a full MS65, collection, that'll be way down in the future. But maybe that day, maybe I'll switch to the Morgan after that, or the Barber. Maybe I go to the Barber halves. Just something special for me, something that I enjoy, something that I hold. And I think to myself, who used this? Was this used to purchase a car? Was this used to purchase loaves of bread? Was this used to get somebody out of a bad situation? How many hands, how many bank vaults, how many bags was this in? There's character and history, and every single coin is unique, and every single coin is a chase and a hard thing to find, and a beautiful rendition and beautiful quality of it. So if you're out there and you appreciate constitutional silver, click the like button, subscribe button, leave me a comment about what you like or dislike about constitutional silver. I prefer you just kind of leave what you like. I've heard enough of the negative stuff about it, but let me know what you like. What do you collect? I know there's just people out there that are dime fanatics, quarters, half dollars, whole dollars. Like, just let me know what you love and why you love it, and maybe leave a little bit of reasoning as in to why you got into that type of constitutional silver. Either way, I really do appreciate you guys hopping in here. I just wanted to kind of just circle back the wagons here and explain why I love the $half and why I'm a collector of it and why I like the numismatic value of it and why I feel like it's got more character and life and sex appeal and just history than any of this newly minted generic stuff. Thank you. Have a great day. I'll see you guys on the next video.